Okay, I'm back and I'm late because I'm still getting used to this. So we were supposed to have someone on, and I was going to be interviewing someone. She pulled out at the last minute, so we've had to we were going to go on Facebook. Doesn't even matter. I'm still getting used to the YouTube thing. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If you were waiting and you're popping on, I apologize. But we're here now. Okay, so the topic this week is, are you honest with yourself? So this is something we talked about in the 7-month spiritual warrior group. This was one of our topics for the month, was talking about honesty and being really radically honest with yourself. Now, it's tough. Like some people, like there are so many ways and so many tricks and so many labyrinths and so many things that we can create within our mind to not truly be honest with ourselves and where we are in the world, with where we are with ourselves. Now, I'm just gonna make sure this is happening because nobody's here, and my husband's usually here. And if this doesn't work, I'm gonna be scratching it for today. Um, So if I'm honest with myself about technology, what ends up happening is I get completely overwhelmed. I get annoyed, I get frustrated, I get nervous, and then there's a breakdown. And if I really get honest with myself, what is underneath that? What's going on with that is that I'm not prepared. Like I don't give myself enough time or enough leeway to lead into it. So getting honest with yourself and getting radical with yourself is one of the most healing ways that you can move through the things that are going on with you. My husband says he's live, and there says there's nobody here. All right, I'm just going to work through this. Okay, so when we did this work in the spiritual warrior group, it was like something that was incredibly eye-opening for people. So let's start with something very, very basic. Let's start with an example. And I lived with an addiction for a really long time. I lived with an alcohol addiction. I lived with like a drug addiction. I did drugs like psychedelics and ecstasy, but I was totally dependent on leaving my body. I was totally dependent on disassociating. And then when I started to pick up alcohol, I was totally dependent on like the actual alcohol. And it took me a long time to get really honest with myself that I had a problem, that I had something going on. And it was embarrassing. It was hard to face. It was hard to look at. It was all the things. But when I finally got honest with myself, and then when I finally told the therapist that I was working with that I have a problem with alcohol, that is when my life started to change. That is when I began my whole healing journey. It is when everything in my life started to turn around, is when I got really, really honest with myself. Now, we see people all the time, people in your life, people in my life, I know it, that are just, they're not getting honest with themselves. Maybe you're one of those people, not being honest about the level that they spend on screens, or you spend on screens, or not getting honest about the level of like where you are with your relationship with food and your health. How do you treat your body? How do you treat your husband? How do you treat your wife? How do you treat your partner? Are you kind to yourself? Are you honest about your relationship to your job? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you wish you had something else? Are you honest about about what you truly want in this world? Are you serious? Are you honest and get real with yourself around what you want? Or do you get real and honest? Let's say, you know what? I really want to write a book. Like I really want to write a book. And you talk yourself out of writing that book. And you don't live in the honesty of wanting to write the book because maybe you're scared, or maybe you feel like you're not good enough, or whatever the excuse is, whatever the thing is where you talk yourself out of it and you don't get honest. Maybe you lie about things and you don't get honest about that. But when we lie to ourselves and when we're not honest with ourselves, it really creates a vibration of low energy, we hide, we don't have high self-esteem, and we tend to think that the lie that we've told ourselves, or if we get honest, that it's going to be more challenging than the actual truth. And in reality, it's not. And in reality, when we actually get really honest with ourselves, it's when true healing begins. When true healing begins. And getting honest about ourselves. How do you show up for your kids? How do you show up for your job? Are you a procrastinator? And it also goes on the other side, the flip side as well, of, are you honest with yourself about your talents? Are you honest with yourself about your gifts? Are you honest with yourself about how good enough you are? Or are you living in a lie that someone told you or that you made up in your head along the way? So I lived that lie, and then I still sometimes live the lie of like, I'm not good enough because that's what I was told when I was a kid. You're not good enough. And I was made to say it out loud. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not, or no, I'm worthless. I was made to say I'm worthless, which means I'm not good enough, right? So I lived in that lie for a long time. And to get honest with myself about how worthy I am took work, and it felt painful, and it still does sometimes, to say I am worthy. And the truth is, I am worthy. That's the truth. So it's not just about like, are there addictions that you're engaging in? Are there things that you're doing that aren't good for you? Are you treating you or yourself or someone in your family or your friends not good enough? Are you grumpy a lot and you're not just honest about it? Are you mad about something that you've been stuffing, and you're not being honest about what you're mad about? All of this builds up energy, but on the inside, but then on the flip side, it's like, are you getting honest with yourself about your gifts? Are you getting honest with yourself about what you want? Are you being honest with yourself about how powerful you are? Because we talk ourselves out of that as well. And when we start to actually get honest about what's working, what's good enough about you, what your talents are, but then also looking at the places that we sneak around within ourselves, or we tell ourselves lies, or we're not honest about, hey, you know what? I'm really not that great with money. I overspend. I don't pay attention to it. This used to be one of mine. So I'm working on it. I'm in a la land over money, and it's not working, and it's creating breakdown. And then getting honest and real about that sets you up with the opportunity to actually shift it, to actually shift something. So I'm going to leave you with this. Start really asking yourself and getting real about the places, even if it's like small places where you're lying to yourself. And it could be simply like, I exercise enough, and you don't. Or maybe the lie is, you know what? It's too expensive to go to the gym and I don't want to. I'm not a gym person, but whatever it is. It's too this to do this, so I'm not going to exercise. Or I'm too fat or overweight to exercise, or I'm too this to exercise. Whatever the lie is, begin to get honest. How are you treating yourself? How are you treating your family? And start with like getting really honest in those ways. Were your parents honest? Did you grow up in an honest household? Or did you grow up in a household where there were a lot of secrets and lies? And you kind of were always left wondering, like, something's just not right. Something's off. And getting honest and real with yourself is truly the beginning of healing. Because we don't have anywhere to go if we're lying to ourselves. There's nowhere to go. The lie stops the energy. The lie stops it dead on, like just stops it. And sometimes our pride will stop us from being honest. And then the flip side too is that sometimes our worthiness conversation also stops us. And this is also coming down to like responsibility. When you're honest with yourself and honest about your actions, both, am I honest about how good enough I am? Am I honest about how I'm treating people? Am I honest about my level of abilities? It's all of it. That also brings in a level of responsibility. And when we bring in that level of responsibility into relationships and into ourselves, everything changes. Because we see that we have a part in everything. So I'm going to leave you with starting to really ask yourself, sit in prayer around the places that you're not being honest. Whether it's not being honest about how your gifts or what you really, really want in this world, or is it, and then also getting honest with the parts of yourself that you may be hiding or not getting real with. So here's a lie, real quick. I'll leave you with this. So I see this massage therapist, and he's literally like the most talented massage therapist that I know. And my body really likes to go see him because he's so good. But he talks so much, and I spend my days listening to people and serving people, which I love to do. But I want 2 hours a week or every other week where I can just be served. Someone serves me. Someone takes care of me. That's what I want. That's what I want. But that is not happening in these exchanges with him. What is actually happening is he's taking, because he's talking and taking and talking and taking. I know about his whole life. I know how he feels about my body. Like, oh, you're really toned, and like, do you play soccer? Like, I don't need to know that. Like, I don't need to know those things. But here's where I'm being dishonest. I don't say anything. I go into like good girl, being of service, don't want to be rude. And the entire time I'm lying on the massage table, I'm in a lie. Like, I'm in a full-blown lie because I'm not being honest. And I'm pretending. And in my head, I'm going, shut up. Instead of just coming out and saying, hey, Lance, listen, I love you. I want to hear, I would love to like have coffee with you, or maybe, we can go for a hike or a walk or something. But right now, this is my time. I don't want to talk and I don't want to listen. But I'm not saying that. So I'm living a lie. And I get to come clean with that. And the lie, and while I am being, supported, like with the massage, and I'm living this lie, it builds up. And then I get resentful. Not a good situation. And then there's another situation. I have some energy with a friend, and I haven't told her. I haven't cleared it up. And every time I think of her, my body feels the lie. My body feels it. So this matters. It really, really matters. And it's the way that we step into spiritual mastery. It's the way that we step into true healing. It's the way that we step into moving toward our relationship with God. Because the lie holds us back. The lying holds us back. It holds us down in so many ways. So I encourage you to write about it, think about it, pray about it, meditate about it, and then where are you not being honest with yourself? And release it. Trust it. And ask yourself, where do I get to be honest? Is there something I need to clean up with myself or another person? All right. Thank you for being with me, those of you that came on. And I apologize for the bumpiness of this morning. We've been going from Facebook to YouTube and going back and forth, but hopefully we'll be landing on YouTube. I was going to doing an interview today, and it didn't happen. And I wanted to do that on Facebook. All right. Have an amazing, wonderful, stand in your truth day.